Hello again, Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, back for another Malifaux video. This time the Stuffed Piglets from the Creative Taxidermy box set. Rosy skin 09068. So there are 6 of these, 2 each of 3 different sculpts. I'll just basically be doing one on camera and showing them all at the end, per usual with these larger groups. But I will just state here that I do not personally condone combining animals and high explosives, but that's basically what stuffed piglets are. They are undead. They are currently, I should say, undead pigs, crammed full of as much high-grade explosives as the taxidermists creating them can shove in. Originally, in the first edition, the stuffed piglets were not undead, but that was a change made for second edition, citing many Gremlin taxidermists decided to be A, more, quote, humane, and B, that shoving a dead pig full of high explosives and then reanimating it later was easier than shoving a live pig full of high explosives. And these are basically smart bombs. When hit, at least, in second edition, I haven't seen third edition rules just yet. They blow up, and they can make themselves blow up. So that's what they do. More or less 50 pounds of dynamite strapped to a pig. So I will do an undead sort of skin tone as I go along. I think I've got this paint thinned a little too much. But it's also going to be a fairly simple color scheme. Okay, take care of that on the rest and move on a bit. Okay, next up, 09004 Fire Red. And because when you think dynamite, one of the first colors that come to mind is a nice bright red for one of the most dangerous explosives, well, one of the most dangerous and commonly available explosives on the planet. And I'll switch to a smaller brush for this. There we go. Trying to avoid the bands holding the dynamite to the zombie pig, but we'll see how successful I am. So originally these were the only models associated with the Gremlin taxidermists, but now they've added the flying piglets, zombie pigs with wings, literally. And it stands to reason there may likely be others coming up. But we'll just see what happens when it happens. I'll mention again, Malifaux is a pretty dark game. Not really any good guys per se, but and then, you know what, I barely get that because the skin tone is completely dry, so I'm going to have to wait a minute. Alright, next up, Shield Brown 09161. This is a good triad for wood. Getting the crate here. Being careful not to hit the dynamite I've already painted. So when painting, you want to go low to high on your base coats. In other words, lowest area, generally the skin. High to low on your shading, ending with the skin. And then low to high on your highlights, again starting with the skin. This sculpt with a crate on the top assembled fairly awkwardly. Kinda tricky. But while the wicks on the, fuses, I'm mistaking dynamite for candles, you never want to do that, are fairly thin they are also a lot sturdier than some of the other thin, delicate parts I've seen on Malifaux models. Okay. And I'll go ahead and take 09143 yellow bone and get the hooves. There aren't really any teeth showing on any of these little piggies. But again, Malifaux, I cannot stress this enough, Malifaux does have a dark sense of humor. So, and I've heard that during World War II, the Soviet Union was experimenting with training dogs to run under enemy vehicles while laden with explosives. That backfired horribly. And there's a rumor that the CIA tried something similar, the US CIA tried something similar in the 60s with dolphins, but that didn't work out, thankfully. But again, there is some actual real-world precedent to filling animals full of explosives, and which, yeah, that's pretty barbaric. Alright, get the rest in. Come back in a bit. Okay, next up, if I can find it. Cloudy Gray 09089. So I'm finding this camera focus is much better when I've got some color on the model, but there's still some room for improvement. Got a nearly empty pot, which is very unfortunate. Just a little here. I just want this on the cloth over the eyes. No, blindfold, I mean. But I had originally considered doing all of his cloth in a steel color to reflect duct tape, but decided against it later. And then this sculpt here will have this sort of padding between the payload and a sort of saddle or harness, likely more to keep the explosives cushioned than to provide comfort for what we've already established as an already undead pig. Okay, apply to the others and move on. Alright, next, Tarnished Steel 09206. There it is. Not too much of this on these models in general. Really, it's just the bindings of the barrels on the one, a buckle, and a little plate. So, start with the little plate. Let's try to keep my hand out of the camera. And then the buckle. And going around the two bindings on the barrel. Okay. And then apply that to the other sculpt, and that's it for that color. Just two left and I'm done. Right, second to last base coat, oiled leather 09110. And this is oiled leather. My short-term memory is shot today. Getting the strap. And the harness holding the keg of explosives. And it should be noted that it specifically states that these stuffed piglets are filled on the inside with explosives as well as the outside. just to show a different sculpt, this same color will go on the ropes tying this little piglet's explosives to it. So I can't remember what the original sculpt for these looked like, but I remember seeing a concept art at one point in time. Not sure if it's one of the older rulebooks or just somewhere on the manufacturer's website of a stuffed piglet with a landmine in its mouth, but let's just keep in mind that this is a game with strong horror themes in it, so and on this little sculpt we're just going to add this bundle of straps holding the dynamite to the back, and one of the reasons I had considered having a duct tape style appearance is because of how these straps are designed, because it almost does look like it's taped on as opposed to tied on. And duct tape is something that Gremlins would totally be heavily into. Okay. Get the rest of them on that dry out. Alright. Last base coat, Woodstain Brown 09160. That's just going on the base. And my basing here again is just custom sculpted really quick, just to get a muddy appearance, just a quick layer of, a thin layer of sculpting putty just into the recess in the base, and just lightly stamping it with a tool in a random pattern to get the appearance of uneven ground. And just a quick layer, being careful to avoid the feet in any other area where the model touches. And that's it. Apply to the rest, and then I can start shading. Alright, time to start shading. Ruddy Leather 09109. So thinning it out into a wash with about half paint, half water. Allergy season is starting to act up. And this generally goes quicker than base coats, just kind of tracing over what I've put the base coat on. Then apply to the rest. Next up, Stormy Gray 09088. So you'll notice I haven't done the fuses yet. I'm going to do that as a detail, maybe even after I highlight. Just carefully with the blindfold, trying not to nick the actual flesh. And then just for the sake of showing one of the other sculpts. And in many games, different sculpts are literally just different poses with the same details, but here there's some substantial differences between the sculpts. Okay, move on in a second. Alright, next up, Blackened Steel 09205. Just letting the paint flow down the way it wants to. Because I can touch up later. Talking so quietly because this is just something I do when I have to focus a bit more like I do right now. And there we go. Apply to the other one and move on when it dries. Alright, Woodstain Brown 09160. And then the other sculpt that has this. I just need to be real careful here not to nick the rope or the dynamite. Let that flow into all the cracks and crevices and the details of the wood grain. And there we go. Alright. Blood Red 09003. Just a few shades left. This is going on the dynamite. Try to keep my hand out of the picture plane. So I might be remembering the story wrong, but I think dynamite in the real world was invented by the same guy who conceived of the Nobel Peace Prize. I can't remember his first name, but Nobel was kind of aghast by what he had made with the dynamite. So I wanted to do something a little more positive to counteract it. Chemical formula of trinitrotoluene. And if you ever find old dynamite, just stay away, call your local bomb squad immediately, because old dynamite is notorious for being incredibly volatile to the point where even a touch or a sharp blow to it can set it off. Alright. And please don't do the old cartoon bit where you mistake a stick of dynamite for a candle. There's enough tragedy without people doing something like that on purpose. Back in a minute. Okay. Ghoul Skin 09148. This is the second to last shade. This is going over the skin and hooves to give them an unnatural pallor to go along with the whole reanimated zombie pig thing. Again, I think they tacked that onto the second edition just to kind of tone down the horror of using, living animals as living ordnance. But again, one, it's a dark, grim game, and two, I find it odd that people seem to have less of an issue when people do horrible, terrible things to each other, but when they do the same things to animals, it's a little odd. It's bad in either case, but in any case, this Malifaux is simply a game. Nothing and nobody dies. And when something is, quote, killed in game, it's just taken off the board and can come back just fine in the next game. I'm trying to get a pretty solid coat here. Okay, that's not bad. I'll just apply this to the rest. Last shade, Pure Black 09037. Now with particularly dark colors like this, you'll want to thin it out a little extra, so I'm going to use probably 3 to 4 parts water for 1 part paint. Normally you want a 1-to-1 ratio when making a shade. Carefully brushing around the feet, avoiding hitting them. Or anything else as I raise my brush. This is about right. So, a little dark around the feet where that shade of the Ghoul skin hit there. Alright, that's pretty good. Apply to the rest, and then once it's all dry, I can start highlighting and detailing. Okay, 09038 Rainy Gray. Before I start highlighting, this is just going to be a detail that goes into a couple of eyes here. Just going to do a flat gray into the open eyes, and only this sculpt has them. The second sculpt is blindfolded, and the third has a layer of fat over the eyes, so. Okay. Now first highlight, Rosy highlight 09069. Now this is going to be done with a dry brushing technique, so no water, just straight paint. And you're going to want a ragged feathered brush like this one here. And rub it on a paper towel until it looks like there's nothing left. So tuck that out of the way. And then lightly dust, going against raised edges. Yeah, this is giving a nice, unnatural looking pallor to it. After all, these things are, quote, undead now. And I'm just going to do all of these on camera fairly quickly. I haven't forgotten about the fuses. Getting those in a minute. Going against raised edges wherever possible, like the ears and the muscles. Okay, nothing of consequence. say I haven't had any scam calls on that phone. I got a little too thick on that side. It's alright, it'll give him character. Shading takes the least amount of time. Shading takes the most time because of the excess water. It means the dry time is longer between coats, but highlighting takes the least amount of time because the paint dries almost instantly. Not quite, mind you, but close to it. You don't have to worry too much about unintentional blending. And I'm switching to another brush for Creamy Ivory 09144. Wow. Getting the hooves on this. None of these pigs have exposed teeth. And as my phone reminded me, I just got a text message about something fairly inconsequential. Oh boy. Just lightly dusting. Doing this fairly quickly. Switch over again. Let's do Phoenix Red 09005 and grabbing another brush. Not that one. This should do. Okay, that is not mixed well enough. This is a fairly new pot, so you see here the mixing medium is still kind of separate from the actual pigment, and you don't want that. So just shake this up a little more. Try again. That's better. Okay. So that right there is much better. When it's solid and uniform. I'm not going to bother on this because I'm only going to do the most readily available surfaces on this. It's highlighting. Readily visible. Oh boy, I am losing my ability to speak language. Trying not to nick the skin while I do this. Next, let's see here. Let's see, it's going to have to be Driftwood Brown 09162. That is a fairly new pot as well, but it's mixed a little better than the previous color. Not that brush. You want your brush to be fairly soft and flexible. Too stiff, just... You don't want it too stiff. Though there are areas where that would be useful. Generally just not so stiff it won't flex. I guess that's the best way of putting it. trying not to hit the ropes here. This might have a bit of water in it from something. Alright. Switching again. True Silver 09207. Only the barrel sculpt has any of this on it. I'm going to need a fairly thin-headed brush for this. Getting the plate on the harness, the reinforcing bands in the barrel, buckle, applying to the other one. While it might be advisable to just do one model per color on camera, it'll slow me down a lot to do that. I've only got a few left. I'm done anyway. Misty Gray 09090. Can loosen up on this one a little bit. Too much paint in the mixer. Just getting that sort of padding between the explosives and the harness. And then the blindfolds. Oh, grab the wrong model by mistake. There's what I want. Okay. Now, burnt orange is 09111. These are all Reaper Master Series, and there'll be a list of paints used in the description. Okay, we'll adjust this a little bit here. Let's make sure I'm not dropping hundreds of frames. Looks like I'm okay, but it was dropping for a bit. I didn't catch it, so that sucks. Leather straps. And more leather straps. Once again, the Through the Breach adventure, with Through the Breach being the role-playing game based off Malifaux that came with this box set, involved a gremlin taxidermist going to a settlement to try to sell stuffed piglets as fun household pets. With the player characters, which the book refers to as the Fated, having to round them up before they go kablooey and cause damage or injury. Alright, and wrapping up with Shield Brown 09161. Just about done with all this highlighting. I just wanted to get at least through the highlighting before I take a break. And just lightly dusting the base. Accentuating the little divots and craters. And you got some of the other paint mixed up in that when I wipe my brush on my towel. I'm avoiding the feet and any other part of the model that's touching the base. Okay, now I'm switching from feathered brushes and round brushes to a flat head and taking pure black again, 09037. And I will be lining the base. I'll just do one on camera, then get them all, the rest off and let it dry because there's one final step after this. So this is done in the same amount of dilution as a base coat, so brush moist but not overly wet. Just enough water in it to thin the paint, trying not to nick the basing. I got a little clumsy when I did that taxidermist in the last video. Getting a nice solid coat. And I'll apply the rest and move on in a minute. Alright, last step. Pure white 09039. I'm going to number them so I can quickly and easily tell them apart for purposes of the actual game. Just simple Roman numerals. So, done essentially as a base coat. So, just enough water to thin out the paint. So, 1, 2, that's a bit of an errant hair here. There we go. 3, 4, 8. Did it again. 5. And 6. And there we go. Half a dozen stuffed piglets ready to go kablooey. Continuing Malifaux with a different faction. Until next time, I am Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, signing out. Oh, never mind, I just realized I forgot to do the wicks. Rainy Gray, 09038. Oh, you gotta love it when my brain drops the clutch like that. Fortunately, I caught it before I started uploading and can fix it. Not that brush. So using this Rainy Gray, I'm just gonna quickly pick out the wicks. And I've done it before where I've wound up forgetting a detail and fixing it after I've got the video uploaded, but this time I caught it, so I'm gonna fix it now. It frustrates me to no end when I do this, but it does happen, so in this case at least it is an easy and straightforward fix. Huh. Look must have broken off that one. Alright. Okay. Now just add a little extra flare. Fire orange 09006. Yeah, it's still a little wet, but it'll do. Just dabbing onto the edges, onto the very tips here. Giving the impression of lit fuses. At least lit where it's readily visible anyway. Okay, and now I've got a 6-pack of stuffed piglets ready to go. Okay, so now, until next time, I am Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games signing out.